This video is on the volume of pyramids and cones. The volume for a pyramid is 1/3 times the area of the base times the height. Now another way that you may want to look at this is base times height divided by 3. If you think back to lateral area and surface area and regular area when we used the 1/2 a lot, it was pretty easy to figure out what 1/2 of something was. But 1/3 isn't an easy decimal. 1/3 is 0.3 repeating. So you would have to take 0.3 times the base times the height. So it may be easier to think of area of the base times the height all divided by 3. Same thing with the cone. It's pi r squared times the height, all divided by 3. So if we take a look at this pyramid here, our base is a regular polygon. So in order to figure out our capital B, we need to do the area of this base, which, since it's a regular polygon, is going to be 1/2 times the apothem times the perimeter. The apothem goes from the center to the middle here, so that's 2 times the perimeter, which that side right here is 2, 4, 6. So if this side is 5 and there's 6 sides total, our perimeter would be 30. So here's our capital B right here. And we're going to take our capital B times our height. Now think back to when we did surface area. We wanted to use the slant. In this case now for volume, we are using the height. So remember, the height has to come from the vertex. When you drop it down, it has to go to the middle of the base. That's what you need for volume. So in this case, our height right here is 14. And then we're going to take all of this. We need to multiply this by 14. And then we're going to take all this and divide it by 3. So 1/2 of 30 is 15, times 2 is 30, times 14 equals 420 divided by 3. So that's going to give us 140. And remember, we want cubic units, so 140 inches cubed. For a cone, again, notice in the cone we're using height and not the slant. The slant is lateral area and surface area for both a cone and a pyramid. So here's my cone. I'm going to set up pi times r squared, which in this case is 6. So we have pi times 6 squared times the height. So the h is the height of the whole figure. The height comes from the vertex and goes to the middle of the base. And you can see here it does create a 90-degree angle. So in this case it's going to be 12. And then we want to take all of that divided by 3. So our volume is going to be 36 times 12 divided by 3. And again, we can leave our answer in terms of pi. So we're going to get 100, volume equals 144 pi. Again, we want to make sure our units are cubed. So this is going to be inches cubed. Another example here of a pyramid, if we try to find the volume. So volume would equal the area of the base, capital B times the height. So if I look here, the area of my base is just a square. So to find my capital B, I'm just going to take 14 times 14. For my capital B times my height. Again, your height comes from the vertex to the middle of the base and creates that 90-degree angle. Well, if you look here, this is my slant. See how it drops from the top to the middle of the base? So this one here, if I connect these, I can create a right triangle in order to help me solve for the height. So you can see right here would be my right angle coming down with my slant. So if you think back to lateral area and surface area, sometimes you had to do Pythagorean theorem because you were given the height and you had to find the slant. Well, in this case, it is just the opposite. You were given the slant, but you have to be able to do Pythagorean theorem to solve for the height. So if you set up 7 squared plus x squared equals 25 squared, since this is a square and its radius is right here, it's half the length of this side. So that's where we got the 7 from, because this is 14, this is half the length. So x equals 24, which means this height right here is 24. So I can plug in my 24 up here for my volume. And if I multiply these together, my volume equals 1,568. And we're going to have our inches cubed again. And this would be my volume. Here's another example of volume. This one's similar to the ones that we did with prisms and cylinders. You have two separate shapes here. In one shape you have a cone, and in the second shape you have a cylinder. So you'll do two separate volume formulas and then you'll add them together. So for number 1, for the cone, you've got volume equals pi r squared. And then times the height, just of the cone is 6. So height is 6. And our radius here you can see is 4. So we'll have 4 squared times the 6. And then we're going to divide all that by 3, which gives you 32 pi inches cubed. And then if I go down here to my cylinder, the volume of a cylinder, which we learned the other day, volume of a cylinder equals area of the base times the height. So we have pi times radius squared times height. So that's pi times, our radius is 4 squared times our height of 6. For that part I meant to put 10, so 4 times pi times 4 squared times 10. So that's 160 pi. So since we are trying to find the whole volume, you need to take your 32 pi inches cubed from your cone and add that to your 160 pi inches cubed. For a total of 192 pi inches cubed. And since both values are in terms of pi, we can just leave our answer in terms of pi. So our final volume would be 192 pi inches cubed.